The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So, we were waiting for this news on Saturday. Commanders were going to take off and head to Texas to take on the Cowboys. Wanted to see what roster moves would be made. It would tell us a lot about who was going to be up, who was going to be down. There were some interesting conversations we had yesterday based off of what DQ said. I was very adamant that Sam Cosmi and Jonathan Jones sounded like they would be back this week. DQ sounded way too enthused about how they looked in practice this week. Conversely, DEEBO practiced yesterday in a limited capacity, which made me feel like it was going to be a lot like last week. He was going to play, but he wasn't going to be a big factor in the game. This time they just said, nope, going to leave him home. He's not playing, which was the worst possible outcome, but it's probably needed because it sounds like the only thing that's going to help that bruised heel is rest. And I felt like they probably should have sat him down last week against Chicago is what they should have done because he wasn't a factor in that game. He really wasn't. And so with the way that things went, he probably was better off sitting out that game, and then he would have probably been able to help this week. Instead, they used him up yet last week, really didn't get much out of him. Now he can't go this week. We're in a lot of trouble. So let's look at the update from the team that they put out earlier today. And the tweet reads, we have made the following roster moves. We've activated guard Sam Cosmi off the injured reserve, physically unable to perform list. We've activated Jonathan Jones, cornerback, off the reserve injured list. In order to free up the roster spot for Sam Cosmi, somebody had to go, right? Jonathan Jones already on the roster, so no one had to be released in order to activate him. However, Cosmi was not technically counting, towards the roster, the 53-man roster. So in order to activate him and make him a part of the roster, someone had to go. That someone ended up being defensive end Jalen Holmes. I don't necessarily love that, okay? I don't, especially with the lack of depth at defensive end, and we're having trouble setting the edge as is. That doesn't seem like a smart move. Felt like you could have gone somewhere else and found a roster spot. But based off of the numbers game and where we sit and what we have, they felt like Jalen Holmes was the best candidate to be cut to free up the roster space for Sam Cosmi. The defensive line, especially the end position, seems extremely thin here. And then you elevate Robbie Chosen, which we knew was going to happen because, again, there's no DEEBO, right? He's out of this game. He didn't even make the flight. So Robbie Chosen was going to play regardless, whether DEEBO played or not. Robbie Chosen was going to play this week. And Sheldon Day is going to get his first action of the season. He was huge for us last year, but Sheldon Day is a defensive tackle. And so, again, you can move guys around. You can put Sheldon Day at defensive end. He's a defensive tackle, though. And so I want to see how they make sense of this defensive rotation up front now. Because, again, unless you're going to get Von Miller to have an out-of-body experience at 70 years old, or you're going to get Preston Smith to turn the clock back at 65 years old, I just don't know what you're going to get out of these edge rushers. Again, I'm assuming that Dorrance Armstrong doesn't play. He didn't practice all week. It doesn't sound like he's going to play, but then again, who knows, right? I mean, I've been wrong at every turn when it comes to guys being back. This was the only thing I was right about. And the only reason I was right about this is because DQ basically told us yesterday at his presser that Cosmi and Jonathan Jones had a fantastic week. Like, when DQ speaks that way, something's going to happen in a positive manner, right? Usually when DQ's a little bit more reserved, you're like, I don't think it's going to happen. When DQ is that upbeat and positive about a guy, generally there's something like this happening where a guy's going to be ready to return to action. So good to see Cosme back. This offensive line now can be made whole. It's the only group that has a chance to be made whole, and it's the only thing that's functioning that the way that it's supposed to right now outside of the quarterback position. It's the only thing that's functioning at a high level right now is the offensive line. So hopefully this group now with Sam Cosme addition can go out and dominate at an even higher clip, because the one weak link on the offensive line to this point had been Andrew Wiley. That right guard position in general. It was Nick Allegretti before him. It was Wiley after him. And now you get Sam Cosme back, and it should make this offensive line even more stout in front of Jaden, and hopefully open up even more holes in the run game and help them dominate on the ground. So great to see Sam Cosme back. Really good to see Jonathan Jones back. We really still don't even know this guy, to be honest with you. He was out for most of the preseason, right? He played in the joint practice versus the Patriots, didn't play in the game, got injured in the joint practice. We didn't see him in the game. He didn't play the entire preseason. He finally comes back for week 1, I believe, against the Giants. Didn't really play in that game. Played in week 2 versus the Packers and then got hurt again. And now he's back. So we really don't know him in a Commander's uniform. It's good to have him back. The depth is just good to have. He's also a really good special teams player. So good to have Jonathan Jones back in the fold. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Getting these two guys back, I hope, is a sign that we're about to start getting healthier instead of going in the opposite direction. Let's hope that this is the first of many weeks here in a row where we start getting guys cycling back into the lineup, i.e. Terry McLaurin, right? i.e. DEEBO Samuel, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully this is the start of guys getting back healthy in the lineup and helping this team try and get on track and play with some level of consistency. But Jalen Holmes is released. Robbie Chosen going to be elevated along with Sheldon Day, and we'll see what kind of impact those two guys are able to have. So look, with the moves that have been made and no DEEBO, and that's the most important part here, is no DEEBO Samuel, right? This has officially become the Jaden Daniels, for all intents and purposes, legacy game. If he pulls this thing out, there will never, ever be a negative word uttered about Jaden Daniels out of my mouth. I can't speak for anybody else. There's no way we're supposed to win this game. I'm just telling you, with what he's going into this game with, there's no way we're supposed to win this game. Again, he's going into a gunfight. And the Cowboys, they got guns and shit. They got guns and shit. He's going into a gunfight with rocks and a slingshot. And we're asking him to somehow come out of this thing alive. We're asking a lot of 5. We really, truly are. And maybe the run game can come to life and, give him an opportunity to not have to put on the cape. But this feels like a Jaden Daniels full body armor cape type of game where he's got to go out there and he's got to be like 27 of 34 for 290, 3 touchdowns, 67 yards rushing on, 10 carries, 8 carries, and he's got to absolutely be the catalyst for success in this game. And you're asking him to do it with Chris Moore, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Robbie Chosen, and am I missing someone? I mean, God, this is bad. They didn't bring up the rookie Ja'Cory Brooks, so I don't think he's playing. Feel like I mean, it's not going to be just 4 receivers. It's got to be someone else. I just can't think of anyone else right now at the receiver. I mean, the top 3 options at receiver are all hurt. I mean, you got 2 practice squad guys basically in Chosen and Moore, Chris Moore, because Chris Moore really shouldn't be on your active roster. He really shouldn't be on your active roster. He's only an active roster guy because of the injuries. So you basically have 2 practice squad receivers and 2 young receivers, a second-year receiver in Luke McCaffrey and a rookie in Jalen Lane. Zach Ertz is going to have to step up. Bill in the run game is going to have to step up. Looks like they're comfortable with C-Rod. We saw that on the injury report, but they didn't bring up any running backs. So they're comfortable with C-Rod. Does this mean that Luke can't return kicks this week? Does this mean that we're going to – I hope they don't take him off of kickoffs, right? I hope they don't take him off of kickoffs, but they may have to. They may have to take him off of kickoffs. Somebody's got to play receiver today or tomorrow. Luke can't run 55 yards, right, and get the ball out to the 42-yard line and then turn around and be ready to play on offense. He's got to take some snaps off. We can't really afford to do that right now. So I don't even know if he's going to even be able to play on special teams this week. We're going to see how they figure this shit out. Again, if we win this game, this is in my mind, I am not preparing for this team to be successful on Sunday. I'm not. Mentally, I've come to grips with the fact that we're going into this game with a JV squad. We've got a first-rate quarterback and most of the parts, Ertz, Bill, the offensive line, are all parts. John Bates, all guys that we trust that are high-level players. After that, you just put your hands up on offense. And God forbid we have to rely on the defense for anything in this game. So, in my mind, I'm preparing for the worst. I'm hoping for the best. But I am preparing for the worst. Okay? You picking up what I'm putting down here? So, if we find a way to win this game, this is a massive win. Because this feels like a kamikaze mission. We feel like we're getting set up to be slaughtered on Sunday. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like to me. I mean, but we'll see what happens. Any team that has 5 at quarterback has a shot. I told you, 5 gives me the ability to be irrational. Because this is irrational. To think that we're going to win this game, for me to even choose us to win this game, it's irrational because everything in my body says you're losing this game. But my belief in 5 makes me irrational. And so, and I got people like Rio in my ear saying, it's the Florida game. Here's Jaden's Florida game. And I'm like, you know, in that Florida game, he had Brian Thomas Jr. and he had Malik Neighbors in that Florida game, right? He wasn't throwing to Chris Moore, Robbie Chosen, and Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey. But this is why we think he's special. If you're one of them ones, you elevate the play of others around you. Even if those guys aren't the best players, you raise their game up because it's you. A rising tide lifts all ships. And we believe Jaden Daniels is one of the biggest tides in the NFL. So if that's true, this is the game to prove it. And if he does it in this game, you can't tell me shit about my GOAT. You can't tell me nothing about my GOAT if he does it in this game. if somehow 5 drags this sad sack of football players across the finish line with a dubski, God bless them all. Because at that point, you can't tell me nothing. Anyway, I digress. So that's where we are. I wasn't coming up here to talk you to death. I just wanted to give you the quick update so you know what we're walking into. The only thing we don't know now is if Dorrance Armstrong is going to play. My guess is he's not playing. And if he does play, it'll be spot duty, right? 3rd and 7. You put him on the field because he can get to the quarterback. You're not asking him to set edges in the run game. You're not asking him to play his normal, 50 some odd snaps, 40 some odd snaps. He's going to be out there in limited spot duty just to try to get after the quarterback. That would be it. That would be my guess. If he plays. I don't think he's playing. Personally, I don't think he's playing. But I haven't heard that he didn't get on the plane. So I guess that's a good sign. At least he's going to have a chance to work out prior to the game to see if he can go. Because if he wasn't going to play, DQ would have already ruled him out. We would have already heard, just like DEEBO, he's not getting on the plane. He's not playing. And he would have been left behind like Terry and DEEBO, were for this game. But again, as far as we all know, Dorrance is getting on that flight. And we'll see if he's able to go or not. So got my fingers crossed that he can play. But at this point, I'd rather be safe than sorry because, look, what's really going to happen in this game defensively? Like, all I can hope for is somehow the Cowboys can't get out of their own way, right? And, they have a penalty or so, or 2 or 3 or 4, because they have games where they just can't get out of their way from a penalty standpoint. And that helps us get off the field. Maybe a ball gets tipped into the air and it gets picked off. Like something lucky has to happen defensively for us to have a chance in this game with the way we're playing defense right now. I can't see us. And Dorrance isn't going to change that, especially not healthy. If he was healthy, he'd make a huge difference. But him on one leg, it's not going to make a difference. I'd rather him just rest and not play this week. And then we just try again next week with the extra day of rest against Kansas City and see what happens there. But, we'll see what they decide to do. But we already know the one, piece of suspense that we had along with Dorrance has been already answered, and that's DEEBO. Not playing. Robbie Chosen, you're up. Oh, my God. I can't believe we're going to a game that we really, 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 really need to win. And Chris Moore and Robbie Chosen are going to be 2 of your top options that Jaden Daniels is going to be throwing the football to. This is incredible. I mean, this is unbelievable, right? Oh, man. I can't believe we're here. But, hey, it is what it is. It's the life of the NFL. It's the way the season has gone for a lot of teams. We're not the only team that's been beat up by injuries. You just got to figure it out, man. So, anyway, I digress. I'm going to transition into the skill game, look at some picks for this game against Dallas, make some picks, and then we'll get out of here. I do have a super chat. I guess I'll hit that one real quick, and then we'll get to the skill game and get out of here. Jacob Cortez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jacob writes, Sheldon, mother effing day. Let's go. We all love Sheldon. We love his effort and his energy. It's infectious. Sheldon plays extremely hard. I have no issues with Sheldon being moved up, and Sheldon's going to see the field. I'm a massive Sheldon Day fan, but again, we'll see what kind of rotation they use. I'm really interested to see what the defensive line rotation looks like with no Dorrance more likely than not in this game. Because are you going to start Preston Smith opposite of Jacob Martin? Is that really what we're doing in this game? Like, oh no, right? Or, they could fool us and Johnny Newton could start at one of the defensive end spots and they could just go big, right? I'd actually prefer to see that. Them just go big on the defensive line Jacob Martin on one side, Newton on the other side, keep Deron Payne and Kinlaw on the interior because that's where they've been dominating, and just go with that, right? And, you know, work in Sheldon Day and Eddie Goldman as your two backup defensive tackles. And then Von Miller and Preston Smith can be your two, you know, backup defensive ends. I really don't want them on the field at the same time. So you got to figure that out. You got to stagger that. You can't have two old deadbeats on the field at the same time, right? Can't have two old, you know, curmudgeons from the old folks' home on the field at the same time. That's not a good move. That's not a great strategy at all. So they got to figure out this rotation. But we'll see what they decide to do. I would love it if they gave Frankie Louvu some reps at edge to, you know, this week, and, you know, give Jordan McGee some run at linebacker. Like, it's, again, I'm going to leave that alone. I don't need to go down that road already, you know, that path. We already know it's not going to happen. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Joshua Farish, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Joshua Farish writes, some nasty work, Lou. Indeed, this is as nasty as it gets. Okay, this is as nasty as it gets, Joshua. Do you think we have the coaching advantage? Yes. Head coaching wise, yes. Offensive coordinator wise, yes. Defensive coach wise, I guess it's a wash because Dallas's defense stinks right now. They're not doing a great job there. Special teams wise, yes, I believe so. Yes, I do think we have the coaching advantage. The only place where it could be a wash right now is defensively, because our defense stinks. Their defense stinks. I'm not sure, you know, I don't know all of the things that ill the Cowboys defensively. And if they could be doing more coaching wise, you know, schematically and putting guys in better positions to succeed, etc. I know a lot of what ills us is schematics, and a lot of what ills us is from a lack of understanding personnel and putting them in the best positions to succeed. I think, again, this is my personal opinion. This is not the gospel or facts. This is how I feel. I feel like there are things that can be done to maximize the talent that we have on this roster, and it's not being done. But that's just me, right? So these guys are there every day, right? They're at practice. They see what these guys can and can't do. And so they should have a better handle on who should be put in what spots and what guys can do this or can do that. And so, again, we think we know, we have no idea, but I just know how I would go about it. So defensively, I don't think we have an advantage from a coaching standpoint there. But everywhere else, I do believe we have a coaching advantage. Head coach, got a guy with experience that's been there, done that. They got a guy that's in his, seventh game as an NFL head coach. Offensively, Cliff has been outstanding this year, just like he was last year. So we have the advantage there. And then special teams wise, I always feel like we've got the advantage going into every game from a special team standpoint. We've been fantastic on special teams. We know they got Kevontae Turpin, and he's a problem onto himself. So we know we've got our work cut out for us this week. And they're not going to back down from Kevontae Turpin. As we saw last year, they're going to kick it to him. So we got to get his little ass on the goddamn ground. But ultimately, I feel like we have the advantage there as well. So, yes, I do think we have the coaching advantage, Joshua. So that's going to do it for that portion of the show. Let's get to the skill game, brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game, brought to you by Sleeper.
All right, so Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app that focuses on bringing people together through sports and gaming. I'm absolutely in love with this app. I've told you this on numerous occasions. If you haven't already downloaded this app, then you're kind of in luck, because they've got a promo going on this month, in the month of October, where you download the app and your first time utilizing it, once you've signed up and you've been verified and all of that good stuff, they're going to give you $23 to use on the app. And as I've shown you over and over again, it doesn't take a lot of money on this app. It doesn't take much to win a ton of money, right? Which I'm going to show you here in a bit, right? However, if you've already downloaded the app, great, you're ahead of the game. If you haven't, go ahead, click the link that is in the description of this and every single video that I do. That link will take you to where you can download the app. Make sure that Sleeper is available in your state. It's available in over 25 states in the US. And so once you've already cleared all those hurdles, use my promo code LTN to get you 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. That's right, a dollar for dollar match. You put in 50, they're going to give you an additional 50. You put in 75, they're going to give you an additional 75. You put in 100, they're going to give you an additional 100 to spend on the app. So let's get active. Let's talk about this particular game, the Commanders at the Cowboys. There's so many storylines here. I've talked about all of the injuries here with this team. And so I wish I could tell you that I'm way more confident than I am going into this game, but I'm not. I'm not. And I want to see, now that they know everything about who's playing, who's not playing from a receiver standpoint, I want to see if they've made any alterations. We looked at the different picks on Thursday, right, with the Kings. There were still a lot of incompletes for the Commanders. Let's see if they filled in some of those gaps yet, or maybe they're just not because of some of the questions that they may have. So let's click on the game and let's start with the hot picks and see if there's anything there that catches our eye. So Dak Prescott is going to throw for more than one touchdown. He's going to throw for 2 touchdowns, at least 2 touchdowns in this game. So I'm going to go ahead and take the more there. That's an easy layup, right? Probably should even be greedy and hit 3, because he's probably going to throw at least 3 touchdown passes in this game. I can't see him throwing less than that, to be honest with you. Again, this feels like a Luke McCaffrey has to be, big in this game. I see Luke's got 38 yards receiving. I'm always nervous with the Luke, but I did say that I feel like Luke, who did not he scored a touchdown last week, didn't score the week before against the Chargers, but then scored the 2 weeks previous against Atlanta and Vegas. This could be another Luke McCaffrey touchdown game. Bill did not score last week. It feels like Bill is going to have to score this week. So I'm going to take a Bill anytime touchdown. That feels like something that has to happen. Zach Ertz has to score in this game, it feels like. So I'm going to take a Zach Ertz touchdown. Anytime touchdown. Feels like he's got to score. I don't think that's optional for us. Passing yards. I think I may mess around with Jaden's combined passing and rushing yards. We'll take a look at that. Let's see what the rush yards are for Jaden. 46.5. He's probably going to have to exceed that, but I'm going to leave that alone for now. C-Rod at 10.5 feels like if he's healthy, he should get the ball in this game. Feel like C-Rod should get over 10.5 yards. So he didn't really get the ball at all. And he didn't really practice this week till Friday. So I don't know what to make of C-Rod. He could play and not get the football like he did last week. I don't think he had 10 yards rushing last week. But he could play in this game and get carries. Like, it could really go back to the running back by committee thing, and he could get 7-8 carries. And if he does that, he's going to get 11 yards. That's a pretty tough thing to kind of decipher right now. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it. I'm going to get C-Rod on 10.5 yards. If I want to go back and take that away, I can. But we're going to stick with that for now. Receiving yards. Feels like Jeremy McNichols is going to have more than 11 receiving yards just based off of his third down usage. He's the one guy that they truly trust on third downs to protect, and then he catches it out of the backfield. At least 2 catches every week for McNichols. We'll come back to that. Maybe even go to the receptions, because I really believe receptions are going to be some. I live in the receptions department, so still don't have any guys receiving wise for us. Just McCaffrey and Ertz. For Dallas, they don't even have a lot of guys for Dallas. It's Pickens, Ferguson, and Lamb. Feels like Jake Ferguson is going to catch a bunch of footballs in this game. George Pickens feels like he's going to catch a bunch of footballs in this game. Let's go to the combined rush and pass yards. For Jaden, it's 285. It feels like a game where he's going to have to exceed that. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. Feels like a game where he's going to have to exceed that. Let's go back to anytime touchdowns. I think they had Luke on like earlier in the week. I got Luke on 4 times 4. Now it's down to 2.86. So I'm not as, inclined to take Luke on this ticket to score. But I'm thinking somebody else, somebody out of the ordinary is going to score this week, like Jeremy McNichols. He hasn't touched the end zone at all this season, I don't think. I don't think he scored at all this year, if I'm not mistaken. I could see him scoring this week. Chris Moore isn't scoring 2 weeks in a row, right? I'm not banking on it. Even if he does score it, I can't risk my ticket on him scoring a touchdown. Luke at 2.5 receptions, meaning he'll catch 3 footballs in this game. I don't know if Luke's had a game where he's caught the ball 3 times. Has he? One game against the Vegas Raiders, he had 3 catches. I don't know. Even with the banged up roster at the receiver position, I still don't know if he's going to get 3 catches. Ertz feels like he's going to have a big game. He's going to have to be a huge part of this offense. Jaden's always looking for him. That feels like a for sure thing that Ertz is going to have a bunch of catches in this game. It feels like George Pickens is going to score. And Ferguson's probably going to score. It just feels like we give up touchdowns to tight ends. So it feels like he's going to score as well. And how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I've already used all 8. This isn't a great ticket here. It's too many picks for not enough money, right? We got to go back and we got to revise something here. Let's take C-Rod's rush yards off, because we still don't know if he's really going to be a big part of this. So we'll take him off. And let's see. See what we can replace it with. Somebody's going to score that hasn't scored. Jalen Lane is going to score in this game. Yeah, Jalen Lane touchdown instead. All right, what else can I take off? How much is this Jaden? 1.78. How much is C-Rod's rush yards? The 10 yards rushing. Might take Jaden off and go with the yards rushing for C-Rod. And it's roughly the same. I don't need to do that. There's no real benefit to that. Let's see. Touchdowns is where it's at if you're trying to get a big boost. What about Luke? All right, so we're going to go heavy on the touchdowns because it feels like touchdowns are going to be scored in this game. So we got Bill, we got Lane. I'm going to take Jaden off of this thing. What about Dak? the back touchdown passes. It feels like a layup, but it's probably, yes, that's not only is it a layup, but it's not doing much for the money. You look how much it boosted the money up. That Dak thing was killing us over there. And then if I hit Luke here, I'm times 100 now. Now we talking. Now we cooking with gasoline. if this hits, I'm retiring. Let's see how much I could win. 1,500 if I get this right on a $15 bet. And it's a promo. Oh, it's gone. Thought they still had the promo for the 30. Man, that sucks. I thought I was about to boost this joint with the promo too, man. That would have probably sent it up over $2,000. Whatever. This is a crazy ticket. This is not supposed to hit. I got all kinds of nonsense up here. Bill, anytime touchdown. Ertz, anytime touchdown. Jaden to exceed 286 total pass and rush yards. Zach Ertz, 5 catches he needs in this game, which I think he's going to get. Pickens needs a touchdown. It feels like he's going to score. Ferguson, touchdown, feels like he's going to score. Lane, it hasn't scored a touchdown all season as a receiver, right? He's scored a touchdown as a punt returner. Let me check in on that. Yeah, he's only scored against the Vegas Raiders. Time to pop that cherry. He's going to score in this game, and Luke's going to score. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. That's I would need every single touchdown to be scored in this game that I have, because I was winning the game 31 to what was it? What was the score I had? 34 to 29. So I would need every single touchdown that I have scoring to be scored by each one of these guys. That's risky, right? That's really risky. Feel like I should take one of these off, but I'm not. So I'm going to leave it just the way it is and see what happens, man. So that's the ticket, and I'm sticking with it. Go win me some money. Submit. That's a wild ticket, man. That's one of the wildest tickets I've put together all season long. That has almost an equal chance of being successful as we do of winning the game. Anyway, I digress. That's the skill game here for me, your man Louie T.
The Skill Game, brought to you by Sleeper.
And that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. You know what it is. Tomorrow we will be live after the game. I'll be over on Bleacher Report for the first 20, 25 minutes after the game, doing my recap there. And then as soon as I'm done, I'll come here and win, lose, or draw. We'll break it down. I just want to go ahead and prime you just in case we don't get it done tomorrow, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. In the event that we don't win tomorrow and we fall below 500, it's not the end of the world. The season's not done. And, I still contend that if the goal for us is to come out of this stretch, this wild stretch here, at least 5-5, right? If you come out of this thing at least 5-5, so that means you got to win 2 games in here somewhere. This is technically the easiest of the 4 games, but it's not easy. And we're as banged up, I hope, we're as banged up as we're going to be throughout this treacherous stretch of football. So you've got to somehow find a way to win 2 of these 4 games. Anything above that, and you've gone above and beyond the call of duty. So just find a way. And even dropping this game, you can still find a way to win. Because if you get to 5-5, you've got 7 games left. You can still catch fire. You can still get hot. Right? Win 5 out of your final 7 and be 10-7 and make the playoffs. You can still do that. But let's not have that conversation just yet. let's see what Jaden can do. Let's see what this team can do. And let's see if they can somehow come out of Dallas victorious. I'm not very confident. Just going to be honest with you. But we shall see. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. You guys have a good one. Take care. Peace. Enjoy your rest of your weekend.